Hopefully you can hear me. Check 1, 2. Yeah, looks like we got level here. Let me make sure this is... Not too bad. All right, happy 100. Oh, we got weird. It says 11 here. Oh, hey, there we are. Hey, Anthony. Let me do something real quick. I gotta create like a little major vamp or something. Let's see where I'll do that here. I have to, because I want to show the, so like we're in key of C. Guess I could, quantize. Now I sound like I can play. All right. So that's, I'll go ahead and play a little bit over this. Let's see. And I'm going to use this. Enable the right track here. So, I mean, I strayed from the pentatonic shape a little bit, that pentatonic shape a little bit. But we're up at the 12th fret. If we were going to play this in the 1st fret or open position, if you're playing acoustic, you might want to play it in open position. And I'm going to tune because I felt like it was a little out of tune. Should have tuned before. I was so busy, and I did get these this morning. That was one of the things that my to-do list was to get these diagrams drawn, so we can see them. And what I should do, I should upload all these to the Discord, and then you can print them. Actually, it's funny because I printed, I think I threw it away, but I printed that, and it just printed it giant. So you could drag them, like take all those ping images, you know, JPEGs or whatever. Oh, need more light. Maybe not. Back up a little bit. All those ping images and drag them into like a Word doc or something like that. Okay, so this is the 100th live stream since the COVID thing started. Unbelievable. didn't think we'd be still doing this. I should write more angry music. So, okay, so let me say some shout outs. Anthony, good to see you. Pepper, what's up? Let's see. Happy Century Day. Yeah, exactly. Keith, good to see you. Jan, David Tillers, et al. Bob Abbott, good to see you. Happy 100 to me. Yes. I wonder if I'll live to be 100. There's no way I'm going to live to be 100. That's just not going to happen. I don't think so. Let's see. Bruce, thank you for being here. My moderator. Let's see. I said hi, Pepper, already. Ed, good to see you. Stephen Stout, good to see you again. Jim Horst, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for the 100. Crazy. Now we got to get to 100,000 subscribers. That's the challenge right now. Let's see. Charlie B, good to see you. Leo, I think Alex is going to come over next week, and we're going to probably film 3 videos, 2 for my channel and 1 for his. Not sure what we're going to do for his. Yeah, it's basically we're up at the 12th. We're going to be at the 12th fret. So your first finger is going to be assigned. We're at 12th position, which means your first finger is assigned the 12th fret. But we can also finger this in open position. And it looks a little bit like the pentatonic number 1, except on the 5th string and on the 2nd string, it's got little the notes move up 1 fret. So okay, I'm touching my face so we can take a sip. Diet Coke. I got both coffee and Diet Coke here, just in case. Let's see, Tom Robinson, good to see you. Bonnie Lee. Who else? Who am I missing? Anybody? Gary, good. I'm glad Gary's here. He deserves it. You all deserve credit for all of this. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for you guys. 81,000 subs. Okay, good. That's good. I knew I was getting close. I was like at 80 and 900 and something. So looking at like about 1,100 subs per month right now, or per 28 days. That's how YouTube counts things for some reason. Well, it makes sense. 4 weeks, 4-week chunks. All right. So I think I've said hi to Hook. I didn't see Hook. Thank you, Hook. Congratulations on Alex's new song. Yeah, that's fun. They had fun doing that. They're pretty goofy. It's so funny. It's like they're kind of still like in junior high together or something. They've been friends their whole lives. Alex and Blake have known each other their whole lives, and Blake and Free are cousins, so they've known each other their whole lives. So if you don't know, the band is, I can post if you haven't seen it, they did kind of an 80s new wave video song, and they Alex got goofy and did a lot of dancing, and they pretended the other boys pretended to be really annoyed with him, and then they filmed some of it in their. Let me get it. I can't get a. Come on. I don't want to click. Well, that's all right. They'll get a spin by me clicking on it. Let's see. Share. Copy. So if you haven't seen it, check this out later. Holly, good to see you. Where are you, Holly? I'm assuming you're in Australia or something like that, because it's like super, super late there. Audio Murphy, good to see you. Caged. Yes, actually, this is, I haven't been, I did mention the caged. I didn't mention yesterday's. The shape that went with yesterday's was the D shape, or the last 2 lessons we did, Mondays and Wednesdays, was the D shape. This one, you can see the C shape in there for the C major thing. And you can also see, because we're going to be doing A blues, or A minor over major, you can see the A7 chord there, which is just... hard to get. But this, if you play a C chord, you have most of the notes or almost all the notes and half of the notes in that chord. So you wish you were in Australia, right? Oh, Central Sierra is nice. Well, that's a great area. So so you must normally be working this time. Okay, so we're going to work on this scale. We're going to work on it a little bit. I do have a story. Is Diane here? Yeah, Diane's here. Okay. I texted myself a couple. Let's see. What were they? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't remember. What was the Branson story? I can't remember the Branson story. But I've got one that's pretty good. I mean, I don't know if it's a 100th anniversary good, but it's pretty good. I could also tell my famous clown joke, but I don't know if I'll do that because I'll have to change some of the. Oh, God bless you, Bob. What are you doing? Thank you so much. I'll have to go back and change the family-friendly nature of it if I tell the clown joke. I may have to do the clown joke at some point just because it's my favorite joke. My dad was a big joke teller. He was great at remembering jokes, but I've never been that great at remembering jokes. Okay. So let me just jump in. We're already in. How many minutes are we in now? 11, 12 minutes. Okay. So I'm going to jump in to this scale, but I just want to review. And I'll start with number one. And remember, number one is these are my numbers. This is how I always taught it. From way back when I was 18 years old, I pretty much came up with this. And it was one of the most common things I taught the junior high and high school kids that I taught because they always wanted to learn how to play solos and do rock stuff. And so you've got to know your pentatonics if you're going to be playing rock. And so I called this, this was number one. This is the best one. And it's the best one because it plays really well. And it's really, to be honest, it's the best one because somehow every guitar player plays almost all their guitar solos using it. So you're going to find that a lot of, and Gary's posting the Tom Command sips so that so we play a drinking game here, and I've got my coffee ready to go. So there's a lot of things. If I touch my face, let's see, refer to myself in the third person. If I swap out guitars, if I forget my tuning, I put my Martin over there because it's in a weird tuning right now. And I didn't want to pick it up and embarrass myself. So I play acoustic. I'm going to play this old Gibson, which is a really great guitar. I love this guitar. I told you about this guitar. Although I get more comments on it because this is the guitar I use on my most popular video. And people are like, why are you playing it upside down? Or is that a lefty? And it's like, no, it had two pick guards and one of them fell off before I got it. And I've thought about getting it replaced. But if I use air quotes, if I said I had a band in high school called, and as a joke, if I literally say, if I say my band in high school was called Rendezvous, then that's legit. But if I say I had a band in high school called Diet Coke and Starbucks, then that would be a joke. So, supposedly. If I say I played all the guitars in Apex Legends, which I did, okay, cheers. And I just found that that's going to be going for a while, so that's good news. If I leave the room, that's actually a sip in order to... I just got a ground. How did I get a ground? I'm almost full. Well, I hope there's not a bunch of grounds at the bottom. Hey, Roger. Richard Lawson, good to see you. If I say... So, we got lots of reasons to take some... If I leave the room, that's not a punitive sip. But if I say... if I drop my pick, if I say there'll be no quiz on this, I'll probably say that today, and you can get this mug, which I think is a great mug if you're talking to your significant other, and you have a conversation, and then you argue about it later, and I said, don't you remember what I said? Well, you said there wasn't going to be a quiz on it. I feel like this mug could lead to a lot of divorces, so maybe don't get the mug. Worst salesman ever. Yeah, if I Yeah, if I drop a thumb pick, it's 2 sips, because you really should never drop a thumb pick. But I did it. That's why we came up with that rule. Exchange thine spectacles. Oh, if I swap out my glasses, I forgot. Is that one, Gary? Okay. Should a quiz occur, you reverse thine sip. It's a negative sip. So you kind of always have to have a loogie ready to go, I guess. Oh, man. Roger's got it. Okay, so what did Roger say? I missed that. Let's see. Hi, class. Sorry I'm late to class, but my dog ate my homework and I missed the bus. Yeah. Mentally, I missed the bus. Okay. So we got that all taken care of. Let's talk about... So the pentatonic number 1 was is the best one because it had 3 A's, which are the minor roots, and 3 C's, which are the major roots. So it gives you 6 landing spots for the 2 different keys, which is great. Pentatonic number 2 is kind of the second best one. It's built around this major bar chord, E form bar chord, so that it's super easy to find. It also has 3 major roots, so that makes it kind of handy to play for C major or wherever you move the scale. Keep in mind these are all movable, so when you learn one of these scales, you're really learning 12. Okay, remember that. That's the beauty of guitar. And then the other thing that makes it one of the best scales is that it's next to the best. Okay, so it lives next door to the best, so therefore it's the second one, probably the second best. The number 3, pentatonic number 3, which we spent the last 2 lessons on, is the worst one. It's far away from pentatonic number 1. It only has 2 A's and 2 C's, or 2 minor roots and 2 major roots. It also is the only one that has a position shift in the middle of it. It's spread out over 5 frets instead of all the others, including the one we're learning today, are spread out over 4. So if you look at the top notes on the pentatonic number 3, though, you remember it's the bottom of this one. So if I point, what way do I have to point? I have to point this way. If you look at these 6 notes here that make up the lowest of each string, that's the top note of each string from pentatonic 3, right? That's how they kind of connect like a chain link. These pentatonic scales all link together, okay? They all share a lot. And what I want to do is, once we've gotten to pentatonic number 5, which will happen probably end of next week, we will... probably I'm going to do a thing where we go ahead and mark every, and I didn't put the letter names here, but every A, C, D, E, and G, every one of them, okay, and on the fretboard, and we'll create, by default, all 5 pentatonic scales. And then it's great to see. I will probably try to do it. It'll be a really long, skinny graphic. I do have it. I think I've used it many times. So I probably have it somewhere. I'm sure I've probably already created the graphic. I don't have to create a new one. Just have to find it. Yeah, looks like everybody's here. And then, so let's talk about this one, though. Now, this one, like pentatonic number 3, only has 2 major roots and 2 minor roots, okay? So here's the major roots right there, all right? And then here are the minor roots. So there's just 2 A's and 2 C's. And I could make this a little larger, make the other one smaller, I don't know. It's never going to be seamless. Okay, but let's go back to this one for now. All right, so let's practice this. We're going to be, if you can play, let's see. I should have done the open one. But if you can play up at the 12th fret on your acoustic, on your guitar, or if you have an electric guitar, grab an electric guitar. If not, know that every 12 is going to be a 0, okay? So I'll do it up here, and then I'll move it into open position. We'll do it in both places. Okay, so here we have 12th fret with the first finger, then pinky on the 15th fret. And some people might use their 3rd finger because the frets are pretty small there, so it doesn't feel like much of a reach. But I like being consistent here on this, so I find that it works best. So 1, 4, so 12, 15, and then 12, 15 again. Okay, 12, 15 again. Let's see. 12, 15, 12, 15. And then, hey, good morning, Duncan. 12, 14, 12, 14. So we have 12, 15, 12, 15, 12, 14, 12, 14, 13. This is the only time we don't play the 12th fret. 13, 15, and then 12, 15. And again, the top of this tends to be the kind of where we would play a lot. I might, although you saw me when I was playing, I like the second and third string on this scale too. And you'll notice when I was soloing, I was really trying to do a small melodic idea. Not playing too fast, not trying to show off, not trying to, use up all my licks in one, 8-bar phrase of a solo, but trying to come up with a little musical idea and then do a little variation on it, and then do another variation on that. And it's to develop. You want to develop a melodic idea. It's very Beethoven, right? Theme and variations. And so that's kind of what, helps make a good solo. It takes a little bit of pressure off of you rather than try to go, I got to write this amazing solo. No, you just got to start out with a pretty melody and then develop it, and take it somewhere. Maybe add something, and you can always go back to it too. If your idea is, then you go. You can always go back to it and restate. It's called a restatement in classical music, but you can restate your melodic idea. And again, it takes a lot of pressure off you, but it makes sense. It's kind of like talking to someone when you just you restate something you just said, or you reiterate it, or you. I could really go crazy here. So, okay, so let's play it backwards. Start on the pinky, 15, and then I'm going to go to the open position. 15, 12, 15, 13, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 15, 12, 15, 12. Okay? It requires a little bit of concentration because it's not very symmetrical at all. Okay, unlike, Pentatonic 5 is probably the most symmetrical of all of them, but it also has 6 of the notes. Half of the notes are going to be your pinky, so it kind of robs you of any kind of joy that you might get from the most symmetrical. But that's part of the reason why I think Pentatonic number 1 is number 1, is because half of the notes are your first finger, and none of the others are that way. Although you could make the argument that Pentatonic number 3 would be the bottom note on Pentatonic 3 they're all done with the first finger. But anyway, so let's go to open position. So we're going to hit open E string, then 3rd fret, open, 3rd fret, open, 2nd fret, open, 2nd fret, 1st finger, 3rd finger, open, 3rd fret. Backwards, 3, 0, 3, 1, 2, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 3, 0. I do not want to get Duncan in trouble. Okay, I'm going to play with a little gain here. A lot of gain, actually. Now, just so you know, the 2 roots are, the C is here. So you might not play that bottom string at all on this pentatonic. You might, but you can also think of it as kind of, if check this out. If I start on the A string and play this pentatonic from here, let me go to this shape. Now this doesn't help because this is written at the 12th fret, but just imagine that 12th fret is your open. So if you can do that. I touched my face, so let's take a drink. Cheers. Hey Duncan. Yeah, well, it's a minor pentatonic, but it's also major pentatonic. Depends on what note you start on. They're the same. So yes, to answer your question, it's both. If I start on the A, open A, and then 3rd fret, You know, I need a less gainy sound. Let me find a less gainy sound. What's the sound? Yeah, that'll work. This is my Born to Be Wild sound. Did a bunch of bumpers. Those are little pieces of music that go to and from commercials. Typically, they're called bumpers. And there's this new TV show that I'm working on by the same people that did King of the Hill. And it's based on a 60s cartoon, underground kind of cartoon, about a bunch of dope heads. But they're here. They're in 2020. So they've like gotten in a time machine and come to the future for them. So A minor and C major, major C. So if we start on A, check this out. A, and then 3rd fret, open, fifth, 4th string, sorry. 2nd, open, 2nd, 1st, 3rd, open, 3rd. Okay? I'm going to play a little faster, just by myself here. That's the same as this. So I just played pentatonic 1, but I stopped at the 2nd string. I didn't play the 1st string. See that? So essentially what that means is that this is an octave up from this. So that means any lick you did you can kind of play just an octave up by using pentatonic number 4. I'm calling this pentatonic number 4. Again, that's my delineation. Those are my numbers. Yeah, and so it's, Bob, the way you can think of it is that they're relative major and minors of each other. So remember, if you want to substitute a minor chord for a major chord, you go down a minor 3rd. So if you're playing a C chord and you go down a minor 3rd, that would be to A, and you play an A minor chord, and that would be a legitimate substitute for a C chord. So if your chord progression were I can substitute A minor. And so that gives you, that's more for kind of writing or rearranging a pre-existing song if you want to change a song, because any melody that works over the C chord is probably going to work over the A minor chord. I say probably, you could almost guarantee it. Oh, sorry, the chord chart does not show the root notes. Well, this one does. And so what I did was, here's one without the root notes. Those are the major root notes. Those are the C's. And these are the A's, okay? Oh, you know what? I should go grab a Discord link. And I'm gonna try to make this. Somebody messaged me on Facebook, and maybe it's a. Okay, so this is gonna be. This says it's a permanent one, but they said they needed a 4-digit code to register. I don't know what that means. But here's to join the Dropbox, the Discord, and I'm also going to go to my is it Tom's Bookmarks? Yes, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to upload. I'm going to grab a bunch of these diagrams. See, here's pen. I think I already did those. Let me grab these and then. Oh, I see. Because some of these are all down here. Okay. I think. Yeah. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to upload a ton of. So. Yeah. Upload failed. Uh-oh. Okay, it worked. Okay, so I uploaded a bunch of these. You can download them and drag them into like a PDF, into a Word doc, and create your own kind of pentatonic worksheet. Yeah, thank you for. Hey, you got 43 watching right now. That's really awesome. Okay, so let me go back to my gainy sound. I'm gonna play. So so up here, if we go. So here's this pinky note right here on the 5th string on the 15th fret is your major root. And here's the C chord. Somebody mentioned the caged method. Indeed, generally when I'm soloing, I'm often using the caged method just to kind of visualize shapes up and down the fretboard. And within those shapes are all the scales. So if you know the shape, that gives you at least a clue as to maybe some of the scales you can use. And in this case, it really does, because if I play a C chord, okay, all I'm doing is playing this C chord that we all know and love with my 2nd, 3rd, and 4th finger, and then barring until I get all the way up to the 12th fret. So on the top 5 string, so I'm not playing the bottom string, but on the top 5 string, I'm playing 15, 14, 12, 13, 12. Okay? And I got to tune again. There's the chord. Okay, so I'll emphasize this C note a lot. See, I'm playing this with my 2nd finger here on the 13th fret. That red dot right there, the higher red dot, okay? I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go to my, you can play along. I'll try to keep it simple at first, and then I'll break off, but just you can play along if you want. You can imitate what I do. Almost sounds like a Journey solo. A lot of gain. Okay, so that's a C note. We're going to go to C, D, C. And notice I use my 1st finger. Okay, now we use my. And that could be your theme. That could be your original. That's your variation. Here's another variation. And we go up to E. There's a C right there. And the chord progression is C to A minor to F to C. So all 3 chords have a C in them. So I'm very safe on that note. So on the 1st chord, it's a C chord. The C is a root. And then when it goes to A minor, C becomes the 3rd. I didn't change anything. But and then this, when it goes to the F, it becomes the 5th. It really works well on the E note. Watch this, I'm going to play the E note right now. It's the 3rd of the E chord, the 5th of the A minor chord, the 7th of the F chord. So it has a really interesting tone. So that's where knowing a little bit of music theory comes in handy. You can use it to your advantage. If you know know that you like the sound of that E over the F chord, then you know when to hit it. I'm going to go down open. Okay, so now I'm not sure. Probably the guitar is probably a little on the hot side compared to the piano. So I don't know if you're hearing the drums and the piano, how the balance is, and hopefully you're hearing the gain. Max just asked me what pedal am I using. I'm not using a pedal. It's just a volume pedal. I'm using Logic. I'm in Logic. I'm running through Logic with the drums and everything, keyboard, and it's Guitar Rig. It's basically the 94 solo patch in Guitar Rig, and Guitar Rig is a plug-in for your DAW, digital audio workstation. So if you have a DAW, you can get that. But yeah, I'm not, and I've never used a DAW as my pedal board. I've worked with people that have. They show up on their laptop and they open up their laptop and they got a pedal board that actually controls the pedals on their laptop. And then they go through a converter, and then the converter, you can either send it to an amp or you can send it to the front of house or whatever you want to do. Most guys just send it to the front of house. And, it's cool. The only problem is, and how often do computers crash? I mean, Macs don't crash very often, but you never know. And if you're on a stage and it's raining or you knock over the table because you're putting on a show with your laptop, I mean, it's just too many. Alex has actually, I think, done it before where he had his laptop on the ground. It's like, it just makes me nervous. So I don't know. I would have to have a pretty bulletproof laptop that would be designated for that. And I may do that before I go to London to do some work if I want to take all of my effects with me. That's the cool thing is you have unlimited number of saves, so you can have a sound that you did for one song and you can save it forever. You go, oh yeah, I really like what I did in that one song. So yeah, Bruce is right. It's just my Logic, but it's called Guitar Rig, and I mean I really like Guitar Rig, and Amplitude are both great. Guitar Rig, and it's by Native Instruments, and you can buy it freestanding. I usually buy it as part of Native Instruments Complete because I do a lot of composing for TV and for film and for pop and so on. So can't have enough sample softwares, things like that, drum machines. It's so effects. It comes with all sorts of things. But that's what this sound is. A little bit of delay. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the A7 to D7 chord progression, okay? And I am going to jam over that, but now instead of thinking of C as my root, I'm going to think of A as my root. So the A's, okay, are here at the 12th fret on the 5th string and the 14th fret of the G string. Like I said, if you just play that, it's the same as it's the same exact notes as your pentatonic number 1. Okay, again, this is pentatonic number 4. And we have one more to do after this, pentatonic number 5. So, and I'm not doing groupings of 3. You can do those on your own if you want. You can even stop the scale there, because again, over like an A chord, that's the scale. You'll be thinking that more than those 2 notes might like get you a little bit. Those 2 notes on the bottom string might get you a little bit lost as far as what key you're in. The great thing about this scale is that on that A string, which we often know the notes on the A string because we know our power chord, we know that this is the A and this is the C. So wherever this is, if you want to play in D minor, you just put your first finger on that note right there. It's D minor pentatonic. Here, go up to E. There's E. That's E minor pentatonic. If I want F minor pentatonic. Okay, if I want G minor pentatonic is right. So whatever your first finger is playing on the 5th string, that's the minor when you play pentatonic number 4. And again, that number is mine. That number, if you go to a guitar teacher and say, "Oh yeah, that's pentatonic number 4," he'll just look at you like, "What are you talking about?" So don't think this is some kind of like theory truth or something. It's like guitar truth. It's just, I just call them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because that's the order they appear. If I were to put them in order of which one's the best, one would still be 1 and 2 would still be 2. But then you're probably looking at 5 being number 3 and then 4 being number 4 and then 3 being number 5, and I'm just totally confusing you now. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the blues. Let me put together a little bit of let me add a little bit of text here, okay? Right, text, whatever. All right, so we have A, C, D, E, G, and then we have an A7 chord, which is A, C sharp, E, and G, and then we also have a D7 chord. You love these giant letters, which is D, F sharp, A, and C. All right, and don't worry, and we'll make this a lot smaller. Not that small. Oh shoot! Okay, I'll put it down here, I guess. Right here. We can see that, right? And then I'll put this right here because that makes everyone a lot happier. I'll get to 100 viewers if I did this, right? Okay, so fun with OBS software. All right. Yeah, one. So you'll notice the notes in the pentatonic scale are just. There are no sharps or flats. It's just the notes. Notes, A, C, D, E, G. That's the notes I'm playing. A, C, D, E. Renee, good to see you. Thank you so much. I love it how everybody's showing up for the 100th. That's awesome. And then, sure, Holly. It's love helping. My channel was originally called, or still is technically, I guess, called Pro Guitar Secrets. I started my channel to kind of teach all the lessons I taught as a private teacher, and also to kind of get all that stuff out of my head, and then also to help young players who want to become pros to kind of learn some of the secrets. So I'm not, guitar players are freaking notoriously competitive. It's hilarious. Drummers, not so much. Bass players, not at all. Keyboard players, not at all. Guitar players are very insecure and very competitive. And I mean, I admit to it. I'll walk into a guitar center and I'll hear somebody playing a lick, some shredding thing that I don't know how to do, and I'll be like, oh, I suck. And then turn the corner, it's a 12-year-old kid, and you're like, dang, I really suck. So, and there are guitar players. I don't think I've ever done it. No, I've never done it. We'll literally turn their back to the audience when they're about to do some trick because they don't want another guitar player to steal it. It's like, I don't really have a problem with giving away. I did a video on guitar effects. If you look that up, it was a live stream maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago because I was running out of ideas of what to talk about. You know, there were a bunch of these kind of little tricks that I showed you. You know, and again, there were ones that you know, once I showed you, you got it. Now you can get that gig. You can take that gig from me, but trust me, I'm not getting that much work call to do that. So, but now it's my channel did morph into more of a beginner channel when I did that video, 7 tips for older beginners, and that's what exploded my channel. I mean, I think I even mentioned in the video that I had 8,000 subscribers, and I was like blown away by that. It's now I got 80,000, so 81,000 according to Bruce. That will definitely be, you know, that I'm trying to get to 100,000, but it's definitely changed how I taught on my channel, and I've done a lot more videos for beginners and less for pros. So, but I'm happy to share any tips I can. Okay, so again, now on this, you can get ready to take a sip because there will not be a quiz on this. Okay, there won't be a quiz on this. These are my mugs you can get on my YouTube channel, or you could have a shirt made. Every conversation you have with everybody, people will not remember any of it. They will go, oh, I don't need to remember this conversation with Bruce. So, but you'll notice that again, A, C, D, E, G are the notes in the pentatonic scale. Okay, that we're learning right here. And yet in the A7 chord, there's a C sharp, and in the D7 chord, there's an F sharp. So these are notes that create a bit of contrast from the minor pentatonic. But that's intentional. That's kind of what creates the blues sound, is you've got a major chord, but you're playing a minor scale on top of it. In this case, a minor pentatonic, not minor diatonic, not a 7-note scale, 5-note scale, 5. And so when you play that C, it sounds good over the D because there's a C in the D chord, but over the A, it wants to go up. It wants to go to C sharp. There's the D right there. Now, you don't have to bend that C note. If you go that C to A really quick like that, it sounds great. Now the A is in the D chord. Okay, you'll also notice that I used my first finger on this note because I knew I was going to be sitting there for a while. That's okay. You don't have to be a purist with your fingerings. Ultimately, you want to be making music and you want it to be good. You want to be confident. If you're struggling, it's going to sound like you're struggling. Now, if I'm going to flurry through it, if I'm going to do a speed thing through it, I'll probably finger it correctly with my pinky and second finger on the string. Okay, so now the F sharp and the A in the D chord we don't have, but if we take the G note, which is one of them is right here. In fact, we have 3 G's down there, up here, it's here, here. If we take it down a fret, that's the F sharp. So, like I said before, and again, this is huge. This is like serious. I mean, I would call this a serious pro tip. If you're playing a scale and a chord changes and a note you can't find a note that works, or whatever note you're on, if you go down a fret or up a fret, it'll probably work. 1 fret is probably all you need. You may not even need to go down 2 frets or up 2 frets. It might. Sometimes it might. Like, for example, that G note over the D doesn't sound good. But if you go down 1 fret to F sharp, it sounds great. Or if you take it up to A. So if I go up a fret, it doesn't work. I didn't say both 1 fret up and 1 fret down. I said one of the two. Maybe both, but usually it's one of the two. Like, for example, over the A7, the C sharp works, so you can go up one fret. If that C is grinding against you, you could also go down to the B, which would be the ninth of that A chord. It would create a more happy sound. So if I were to do that over this progression, there's the F sharp. I'm going to go with B, C sharp. Neither of those notes are in this scale, though. So anyway, there won't be a quiz on this, so you can take a celebratory sip. Did somebody say sip? Nobody said sip. You can totally take a celebratory sip because I said there won't be a quiz on this. Yeah, it would be. I wonder how that works. What the lag is. I've actually done a little bit of when I was teaching a lesson with crews in London. From it was like 6,000 miles away, so there's lag, and I was playing the rhythm so he could solo, and I could tell he was behind me. Let me know how that works out. Let me know how that works out, Dennis. If you actually, I mean, if you're fairly close, I think if you were in the U.S. Yeah, I figured, Charlie. Yeah, almost everybody here, the first video they saw of mine was the 7 Tips for Older Beginners. And that was actually recommended by one of my subscribers that was really into my open tuning lessons, which I haven't done one of those in a while. Those are actually my second most popular one. Almost across the board, my second most popular lessons are the open tuning ones. And that kind of works. I don't know. I don't want to move that. So hard. Okay, it's whatever I'm moving has to be outlined in red. There we go. Okay. So so in this we've got, like, over the A chord, we have 3 notes of the 5 in the scale that are in the chord: the A, the E, and the G. So you have this. Kind of like the sound of that. And the same notes, the D and the A and the C. So in other words, on the A7 chord, those 3 notes that work are the 1, the first note of the A, of the 4, the E, which is the 3rd note of the 4, but is the 5th. This is why we don't do quizzes. And the 7th of the chord is the G. So it's the 1, 5, 7 of the A7 chord is in the A minor pentatonic, and the 1, 5, 7 of the D7 chord is also an A minor pentatonic, which is why it works pretty well. So let me just play over the chords. I'm just going to play, basically what I'm going to do over A is I'm going to play E, which is the 5th, G, and A. And then over the D chord, I'm going to play here on the third string. And if you're here, in fact, let me do it in open position. And so that's A, C, and D, and that's the 5th, the 7th, and the root of the D chord. Okay, so let me play this track again. There we go. A7 to D7. Sorry about the game. sound of the seventh. That G over the A sounds great. Then C over the D. Also, never a bad idea to leave space. Sorry, I jumped out of position. Went down to pentatonic number 3. Very, very natural to go to neighboring pentatonics when you're in the middle of solo. Sorry, I got bored. I can't. It's hard to. It's really actually it's hard to stay in a shape for your benefit. I'm selfish, so at some point I gotta jam. So speaking of, I do have to jam. I've got a couple different artists that are reaching out to me. They want me to write music for them today. And so this. So do we need to spend more time on this? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Monday we may hit pentatonic number 5, which will actually be down here, so all the acoustic players will have no problem. We'll all be on the same page. Let's see. Do I need to get a new guitar? No, I did not buy myself a celebration cake. Celebration time. Party, party. It's Friday, Friday. Oh, okay. Okay. Thanks, Holly. Yeah, no, I was looking for some feedback on that. I asked for it, but I didn't get it. Yeah, I think a piano can be turned up a little bit. Also, the other thing is if I put like a bass on here, that would be better. Or if I doubled it with organ, what would that sound like? Weird. Oh, no organ. Nothing there. Let me delete this. But yeah, if I did like a bass track, you know, that also would probably help. I think that would cut through, and I can just do some like basic. Oh, run it through an amp here. Oh, that's probably a little on the loud side, but. Quantize that. And I think that kind of helps too, gives you a little more. Yeah. Secrets of the trade. Oh, cool. Nice. All right. Like I said, I'm getting... So where are you guys? Where did I put you? There you are. Hey. Oh, question. I got a question. How exciting. Question by Gary. What? Gary, what do you want? Wait. Question by Gary. Oh, Gary. Have you done a video on your signal? I have not done a video on my signal chain. I'm going to do a video on my signal path, my signal chain. The thing is, and it would be nice to have this in its own freestanding thing. I will definitely do that. But I will probably make it a little bit more big picture, okay? Because people think, when they think signal path, they think, okay, you plug the cable into the mic pre out of a cable into a, DA converter, the DA converter into the computer, then back to the speakers or whatever. That's your signal path. The path your signal travels. Signal chain, signal path, same thing. And a lot of people put a lot of stock into it, and it is. It's not necessarily. It's very important because if you have anything in the signal chain, anything that's a weak link is going to cause problems. If you've got a chord that's scratchy or bad or whatever loose, you're going to be going, why is my sound so weird? Or if a battery's dead in a pedal, if your pickup is lame, or if you got a cheap microphone, or if you are distorting the mic pre. There's so many places along the way where you can really mess it up. And you can mess it up by having cheap stuff in there, but you can also mess it up by taking even an expensive thing and using it incorrectly. Yes, I did that. I kind of did that, Bruce. Sorry. I don't know how much we're lagging, but so the thing is, I want to be a little bit more philosophical about it. And was it Gary? You asked me about signal path, and I will do a video on this. My question is, should I just do a technical video about it, or should I go ahead and I may do the technical video at the front and say, here's my signal path. But really, I feel like, and I'm changing guitars so we can all take a sip. I feel like the signal path, people think, oh, it starts at the microphone, right? You got a microphone, and then you mic the guitar, and it's there's the start of the signal path. But me, I'm a big fan of picks, right? I think that different picks have different sounds. I'm gonna go drop D on. So, if I go with a Wiegand thick gypsy jazz pick, it's, here where I'm sitting, it's a very different sound. The microphone picks up something very different too, because it's the way the pick makes contact with the strings. Well, strings are part of your signal path as well. So if you have new strings or old strings, sometimes I like the sound of old strings. This guitar, I haven't changed strings on in a long time because I put elixirs on, and they take a long time to get old. So I want old strings on this guitar, so when I pick it up, it just sounds grungy, right? Sounds like it's got grungy strings. Well, then if the strings matter, then a guitar matters. So if you have more than one guitar now, that's another aspect of your signal path. And so, and I've heard that even the atmosphere in the room is a big factor in your signal path. That's why I have these baffles up that you can see. It cuts back on reflections and over brightness. It gives you a little bit more flatter sound in your room so that you can EQ more at will and you don't get unintentional spikes in your EQ. I just touched my face so we can. I'm going to take that. But the thing is, I think that the signal path, it could start with your guitar. It also has your ability, and the sound of your hands is part of the signal path, in my opinion. Because that's where the idea transfers to. Well, what does that say? Well, then that means that the idea is also part of the signal path. So if you have a bad idea recorded with the world's greatest signal path is still a bad idea, right? We see it all the time in politics. Oh, no, sorry, I shouldn't go there. Okay. A bad idea played, on a great guitar is not going to sound great. A great idea on a pretty crappy guitar is going to still be a great idea. I think Bruce Springsteen did a whole album on a 4-track cassette deck. What album was that he did on a 4? So I guarantee you the quality on that. So yeah, I will definitely do a video on the on signal path. So that's on my list. Like I said, I will. I don't know. I got to figure out, conceptualize how the best to do it. Do two videos. One on the technical signal path, the microphone, the cable I use. I don't think the cable. I don't really. I think I just have normal. I don't really go crazy on it. Well, electric guitar I use Mogami cables. I like Mogami cables. So I definitely use Mogami for my guitars. But microphone, I don't have a Mogami on the microphone. I don't really put much stock in that, but I do know people that are like, oh no, you've got to, you've got to get the best cable. I actually have a friend who's super nerdy on this kind of stuff. He even bought these blocks. They were made of concrete with a piece of tile on them, and they were like 12 by 12. And he spent a lot of money on these and bought a bunch of them, so enough that he could actually put like a drum kit on, so the drummer would be sitting on these blocks, and he said that he could totally hear a difference. But he put my chair, I was playing acoustic, he put my chair on these blocks, and it felt a tad precarious because they weren't connected, they could separate, and they were about this thick, and he said, "Now look, can you hear the difference?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can't hear the difference." But to him, it was worth spending a lot of money to have these blocks to for musicians to sit on. I don't know if he still does that or not, but that was his one. I mean, he's a huge purveyor of vintage equipment and the best everything. But anyway, that's his thing. I'm like, give me a good idea, recorded well. That's the other thing with recording and signal path is that any issues, if you have more than one issue, they're cumulative. That's why it's really difficult. And I know right now they're trying, in the COVID thing, they're trying to do some sessions where string players would record cello at home and violin and viola at home and horns and all that stuff. And I don't think any of them went well because none of these people know how to record their instruments. They're used to being in the studio with an orchestra. I heard a story that one cellist didn't even have the microphone aimed in the right direction. He had the microphone aimed away from the cello. And then he sent the files, and the engineer was like, I can't do anything with this. Another one, you could hear the air conditioner on. And another one, you could hear the kids screaming in the background. So it was kind of like, those are all cumulative. If they used all those tracks on this orchestra thing, it would just be a mess. So yeah, you really do have to... Yeah, Nebraska. Yeah, that's the album. Right. Thank you, Randy, for chiming in on that. It's pretty amazing that he recorded. But I think about this. Think about the computer that they used to go to the moon. How many? Bruce? No. Who's here? Dang it. You know who might know. Well, I'm sure a lot of you know this, and you probably already know what I'm going to ask. Roger was the one I was thinking of. Roger, how many times more powerful is my phone than all the computers they used to go to the moon? It's like not even in the same. This thing is so much more powerful than all the. I know it's more powerful than the computers they had on the LEM, on the lunar module, but Yeah, probably at least 10 times, over 1,000. Yeah, even probably, this is probably 10 times all of what NASA had. Just as I can say. So, I mean, when you think about how good the Beatles records sound, it really speaks to just, they had it down, at least as far as capturing vocals, and even the drum sounds, I think, are pretty darn good, even though they only use two microphones most of the time. I think they used a kick and an overhead or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they had a kick and two overheads, and they captured everything with that. I've read a couple books on it. It's been a while. I have to do more research on it. But, yeah, I mean, you don't have to have, like, a billion channels and the best equipment to make a record. You just don't. And we've been proving that for years now with everybody in their home studios. 32,600 times. Bob Schumann knows the exact amount. Okay, so it's story time. I dug up a story. I don't think I've told this one. It's difficult. 100 lessons, and you all want stories, and so I actually pulled up. I think I've got 3, but one is kind of a short one. I'm trying to remember what one is. Branson. I'm trying to remember what that was. I think I told one of my Branson stories, but Branson, Missouri. So I would play occasionally with this my good friend Fernando Ortega. Yeah, you get stories too, Holly. And I've been friends with Fernando before I met my wife. I think Fernando and I became friends in 1985, when he came to Pasadena to go through the Music Ministry Training Center through Campus Crusade. And we became fast friends. And though he's moved back to Albuquerque, we still stay in touch, and we're Facebook friends and all that. But I haven't worked with him in many, many years. But for many years, he lived in Laguna Beach. And so it wasn't too impossible for me to go with him down there and do some shows with him. And I did a few shows with him. And Fernando is a great piano player, a great singer, and a great songwriter. And one of his favorite songwriters is James Taylor, and he doesn't play guitar. So we did some gigs where we would do, like, I would play with him on, he would play me a piano. And then there would be songs that I would play James Taylor part, and he would sing. And so he would do some, James Taylor songs or whatever. So Fernando calls me and says, "Hey, I got this gig. He's a real estate developer. He's got a lot of money. He's having a party. I think his wife is turning 40 or something. And apparently she's a big fan of mine. And they go to my church that I work, that I perform at a lot. And hey, Sergio, good to see you again. And Stephen, you know who Fernando is, yeah. And I've got some great Fernando stories. He's very funny, and we have a great time. Fernando, it was just me and Fernando. I was playing acoustic guitar, and he was going to play piano, and they rented out this touch my face. You can take a drink. Rented out a room at a hotel. Nice room, an Orange County hotel, I think in Laguna Niguel, with a beautiful view. And they invited all their friends, right? And they're all dressed up, tuxedos and all that. They totally glammed it out. Now this is probably late 90s, I'm guessing. I'm trying to remember when this was, but it was probably late 90s. And he asked me, the guy that hired us, he asked me to learn how to play House on Pooh Corner by Kenny Loggins. And I'm like, I knew the song, but I had never learned it, so I learned it. He goes, I just want you to understand, I'm going to talk before I'm going to introduce Fernando. But I just want you to play that song while I introduce him. And it's kind of weird, right? It's like, House on Pooh Corner before you introduce Fernando. So I'm like, okay, whatever, So I'm up there before Fernando is. Like, he goes, yeah, I'm going to talk for a little while. I'm going to give a little presentation. I'm like, presentation? Okay, and he said, when I say Kenny Loggins, I want you to start playing House on Blue Corner. And I'm like, okay. It's so weird. So he gets up, I get in a position, I'm sitting there on stage. You got a little stage over the piano and a place for me to play my guitar. In fact, I may have played classical guitar during dinner, if I'm not mistaken. So I probably did that as well. So I was already sitting there. And so the guy gets up and they wheel over an overhead projector. And so just picture this. This guy is up there, dressed to the nines. He's probably early 40s, very, very wealthy real estate developer in Orange County. And his wife is sitting there in the, loving look. And, my beautiful wife of the last, 18 years or whatever. And all their friends are in the room. And a lot of these people Fernando knows from church, but maybe not. Really, most of them are their friends in the business world, right? So the guy says, he goes, I just want to let you know that my wife's favorite artist is Kenny Loggins. And I like, oh, okay. So I start playing this. And so at that very moment, the whole room thinks that Kenny Loggins is going to show up. And he proceeds to tell us the story of how he reached out to the Kenny Loggins' management, and that Kenny had a list of, he wanted $120,000 to do one party, and he had a list of demands that this is what he wanted this is the writer for the show. And he had turned it into overheads, and he was going through the writers and talking about this, okay? Like how much this was going to cost, and this is what he wanted and all this. And the whole time it's kind of this weird thing, like, what's he telling us? Is he saying, and I knew the answer that Kenny wasn't going to be there. I was probably, besides him and his wife, maybe even his wife didn't know. She may have been thinking it was going to be Kenny Loggins. And, okay, help me keeping track of, help me keeping track of that question, but I don't really know an answer for that. Okay, Bob's got you there. So I don't know anything about it. So he continues to say, talk about the writers, and this is what he wanted. He wanted this to stay at this hotel, and he wanted this, blah, 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 and he wanted to drive, it was like this on top of the 120,000. And I'm watching him. Basically, he is trying to telegraph to the room that he got Kenny Loggins. He went ahead and did it. Because he played it that way for like 10 minutes. And then at the end, he goes, but I decided against this. And I'm sure everybody's like, oh, okay, well, what's the point? He goes, but I got my wife's second favorite singer. Ladies and gentlemen, Fernando Ortega. Fernando's been standing in the wings the whole time, listening to this. And he was like, are you kidding me? Get up there. I'm your second choice. And he sits down at the piano and he says something to the effect, well, at least I made the list or something. I mean, he cracked me up. I saw him and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that. Like the most unbelievable. Yes, B Kitty, I know it's going to be 107 this week. It's going to be 105 tomorrow, I think, but it's supposed to be 109. We'll see. It changes every day. It could go down. I don't know. But the worst part about Tuesday is it's only going to go down to 80 at night, which is brutal. It means the house never gets cool, so you're going to be running the AC all night. Anyway, yeah, so after the show, they had some food for us in the back, and Fernando and I go back, and he was pretty mad. He was like, he goes, I've never been so embarrassed and humiliated in my life. And all those people were like, who? Because none of them really, there may have been a couple church friends there that knew Fernando, but for the most part, and the wife was kind of like, she was totally excited and fainted, and she was very sweet, but gosh, talk about humiliating for Fernando. That was like just, I mean, I don't know. It's just funny. I don't know what the guy was thinking. I mean, you got to put yourself in other people's shoes. But when you're super rich and you just think, oh, this will be cool, he decided he didn't want to spend 200 grand to bring, Kenny Loggins in to sing a couple songs. So it's what it is. Yeah, no, OC is the OC. I used to go down there a lot. I used to play at the Sawdust Festival every year. I got asked one year to play for the to do the pageant of the Masters, which is, of course, they didn't do it this summer. Hopefully, they'll do it next summer. But that's an amazing. Look up pageant of the Masters, Laguna Beach, on YouTube. You'll be blown away. I got asked to play for it. I think I told you about this, but it didn't pay as much as I thought it should. I thought it should pay a lot more than they offered. It was like $175 a day or something like that, and I'm like, yeah, but I have to. And it was literally like 7 shows a week, so I think it was $175 a show, which isn't bad. If I lived in Laguna, it would be fine. But I was driving from Pasadena, and I was looking at two hours each, or 2 hours to get there. Getting home would have been 45 minutes. But getting there during rush hour just would have been, in the summer, would have been the worst. Trying to get to Laguna Beach in the summer period is awful. So, yeah. B Kitty, are you in Bakersfield? Yeah, we're definitely, Granada Hills is much warmer than Pasadena. Not much warmer, but it's a little warmer. It's like anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees warmer than Pasadena, which is weird because Pasadena is actually further inland. But I think it's something to do with, we're kind of high desert kind of vibe or something. So, okay, Bob, get back to work. I'm going to get to work too. And I've got, like I said, I've got a couple artists that are asking me for songs, and I need to do some writing. Yeah, so awkward, Gary. It just was awful. It was just, I felt so bad for Fernando. I never let him forget it either. I'm going to text him a reminder right now. just to yank his chain. So yes, Holly, we do have a story. So hopefully I'll have a story. Well, I got a couple of them now that I can pull up. I've got one. I've got basically one phobia in life, and my I don't. Gary may have to come up with a name for this phobia. So Gary, I know you've got your old English down, but you're going to have to kind of work on your Latin here and see if you can come up with a name for the fear of church potlucks. So we need a phobia, an official Latin medical term for the fear of potlucks, and hopefully Diane can help me remember that story. I'll tell that one. It's a shorter story, so. I'm going to take off. I've been going long on these, and I kind of got to be careful because, I do get tired, and I gotta stay productive because that's, down the road. So Frank, I don't even know what you were asking about, that piece of gear you mentioned. Frank. What do you think of fair price for secondhand Multiac Grand with sound on board? Multiac. Is that a Multiac? Boy, I know what is a Multiac? I forget. Is that a reel or? Oh, that's the cassette deck thing. Is that what that was? Is that? Oh, one of those. The Godins. Yeah. I had an electric one. And then that's the story behind this guitar. That's the story behind that guitar, is that I had done a session for a friend, and he said it was 2 days on his record. He didn't have any money to pay me, but he said I could take any of his guitars. I could have any of his guitars or basses, any one. And so I kind of went over and took a look, made sure there was something there I wanted. And I saw this guitar, an old Gibson. I said, you can't go wrong with an old Gibson. At the time, these were going for about $800. but he did, that was the only. It was one of those. You can take any guitar. Oh, okay, I'll take this one. And he goes, except that one. So he had a Godin. I don't know if it's a multi-act. I don't think it's that because it was the electric one. Had a whammy bar, 2 humbuckers, and a MIDI pickup and a piezo. So it was like it did everything right. Kind of weighed a ton, and I didn't like the sound of the pickups. I took it to church and did one weekend with the church, and I was like, no. And the case was giant, and I took it. It just stayed in my closet, and I looked it up, and it was worth about $1,500. And about 2 years after I did the session, the guy called me and said, "Hey, how would you like that Gibson?" Because he really wanted that Godin back, and I think maybe he wanted the Godin back because he knew he could get a lot of money for it, so he wanted to sell it or something. But I said sure, because I was like, the Godin was. I played it once, and that was it. And so, but this thing I use all the time. I really love the sound of this guitar. So a good acoustic guitar, you can't have too many of those. The multi-act, the acoustic one, the Godin thing I'm looking at, I talk to him every year at the NAMM show, which is canceled this year. I'd love to get a better oud, and I wouldn't mind getting an electric oud because I could really plug it in and do all sorts of cool stuff. I probably should get one. I just don't like the price. I think that for what I would use it for, it wouldn't get enough use to justify spending, I don't know, $1,700, $1,500, or whatever they go for. I forget, $1,200 maybe. I'd love to see them under $1,000 if I could get a used one or something. I might do that. Yeah, this thing has just a great. It was a folk singer is what the model FS22 or F22, and this is original. There was another one down here, but it came off. And the reason they did that was because it's set up. It feels like a classical guitar, but I think it was always meant to have steel strings on it. So it was created for folk singers because folk singers were often using nylon guitars, but they were playing with a pick, and they were stringing them with steel strings. And so this Gibson came out with this one that was marketed specifically to them. And I think they put the pick guards on both sides. I always joke about it, like, these kids today, they're using these things called plectrums, and they're just going to scratch up the top of the guitar, so let's just cover the guitar with plastic. It's like, what difference does it make? So, and you can see it's very scratched up right there where the pick came off. Most of those aren't mine. I've used this guitar a lot, but I don't tend to dig in like that. I try not to make the pick touch the top because it clicks when you do that. And so if you're you don't want that sound. You don't want that sound on a recording. So that's one of those cumulative things. You put that on one track, and then you got another track that's got a lot of squeaks, and you got another track that's got, it's out of tune. It's just bad. So, okay, thermo. Thermonursonphobia, the fear of hot dish. Hey, Gustavo, good to see you. Oh, thanks, Gustavo. I try. I'm holding back all the good stuff, though. Yeah, and if I was still doing like classical guitar stuff live, I would probably get one of those, the nylon ones, because I feel like just sometimes I just don't want to take my nice classical out, and it's miking it and getting sound out in an outdoor wedding. It's just easier to take a pair of speakers and crank, plug direct and everything. So I think it'll serve you well. Quick question for the e-guitar techs. My low E string frets and buzzes when I strum. What the low E string? Yeah, maybe a neck adjustment. In fact, I am going to. I talked about this the other day. I think I'm going to get some heavy medium strings for my Martin because it's buzzy too on the high E string. And I think part of that is because technically Martins really want to have medium strings on there, not light strings. So I'm going to get a set of mediums. I may have a set something lying around. I probably do. I should restring it anyway. I'm sure I'll love the sound. I just won't like playing it as much because I really like playing. Yeah, you could raise the string a little. You could raise the action, but on an acoustic guitar, that's difficult. You almost have to get a new nut and then re-grind it to the height. But not a new saddle. It depends on where it's buzzing. If it's buzzing down here, or it's buzzing here, this one's a little high, and it's wide. It's a wide neck. So if you got big hands, this is a great guitar. But if you got smaller hands, this is kind of a pain in the butt. So. I have not, Franco. I don't even know what that is. I'm not a big pedal guy. I have a lot of pedals, but I don't really use them very often. Oh, it's also good. Oh, okay. No, well, you know, maybe I played one at the NAMM show. I do tend to kind of hang out there a little bit. I do like the, you know, some of the stuff. The guitar just was not anything I would use. Yeah, you've got, you know, there's lots of things you could do. Holly is saying how she has to humidify her guitars. Yeah, I've got these the clay humidifiers that I put in a lot of the cases, but you have to take them out and re-moisturize them. The other thing is I have a humidifier in the room. I think it's in the corner. Occasionally I'll turn it on. I probably should turn it on right now when I'm not in here, but it just gets so much hot. It gets so hot when I humidify. And the air is on right now, but dang, it's going to be brutally hot. So we'll get through it. It'll only last 7 to 10 days, and then we'll get out on the other side. And the days are getting shorter, so it cools down fast. It's not like if we had some of these days in June, it would be brutal, but we never do. We never have. It's always cloudy in the morning. In fact, July was almost cloudy every morning too. So it was cloudy this morning. It's been cloudy every morning, even with the heat. Really weird. So okay. Dennis, I don't know what guitar. It depends on the kind of guitar. But I'm sure there are videos out there on how to adjust the action on your guitar. And you always go with small adjustments. You don't want to over adjust. You may have to readjust the intonation if it's an electric guitar. Yeah, I know. You know, we get weird humidity. It was 87% humidity the other day. It rained yesterday. Here in Granada Hills, so that was weird. Yeah, it's not too bad. Oh, Charlie, I don't know if there's gonna be a lesson 200. We'll see. Yeah, and you can also my guitar tech. What he does because he's got a lot of guitars he's working on. You can take a piece of a paper towel, set it aside, wash your hands, dry your hands with a paper towel, wad it up, and put it in the sound hole. If it's not dripping wet, but just in other words, you know, shake your hands out, and any residual water on the towel, that's enough to humidify the guitar, and then it's basically free. And then when you just kind of get it, grab it. I don't think I have one in here right now, but you can do it again. You can use the paper towel 1,000 times until it falls apart. So. Oh, take a look at the fret spot. Dennis saying, I've seen people setting the right action height by pushing the fret. 14th fret. Yes, that's what they'll do is they'll push. There should be, in other words, there should be a slight bow to the guitar, and it's going to stop at the body. But you know, because the body is going to be flat from there on out. So usually, you know, I think there's you look at the 7th fret or whatever. The guitar should have a slight bow. I don't think this guitar has a adjuster on it. Oh, it does. It has a cover on it. I know my Martin doesn't. But anyway, I've got to take off. I got some work to do. Hopefully, I'm going to write a hit or two today. And then also, I just got a text from the producer that is producing that Marco Antonio record. So I may have as many as 10 songs to do on that. Yeah, I've done that too, Dennis. That's yeah. Take a Ziploc bag and you cut holes in it and put it there. That way, the paper towel doesn't come in direct contact with the wood. You know, I as long as the guitars outlive me, I don't really care. I mean, I know people say you got to really take care of your instruments, and I guess I'm in an enviable position where I'm like, well, I can always buy another one. If I have a magic guitar, then maybe I'm going to take more good care of it. But I don't feel like any of my guitars are particularly magic. So, yeah, I missed the June gloom too. We'll get back there soon enough. You know, we'll probably have another hot week in October though. It always happens. Like September will cool down a little bit, but then October there'll be like a week where we're like 100 degrees again. But the days are super short at that point. And, you know, once it hits 6 o'clock, it starts cooling down really fast, so you can open up the house. So, okay, Monday, I will either continue with this scale, we will woodshed it some more, or we will go to Pentatonic 5. And then if I do that on Monday, then Wednesday or Friday, we will probably do the full neck, so you can see all the scales on the neck. We can do that, okay? All right, that's it. I'm going to sign out. I've got to actually have an end stream button, which is nice. Good showing today. Thank you for showing up for the 100th lesson. Number 100, unbelievable. 101, and thanks for the coin there. Somebody gave me some coin, and I really appreciate that. That was super nice. Yeah, because the revenue is down on YouTube. My view counts are down a little bit. So and the revenue's down. So it's kind of a bummer. You know, I'd like to get bigger checks from them, but it's all good. It's all good. Anyway, Duncan, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to sign off. I'll leave the stream up so you guys can continue to chit chat back and forth for a little while. It will log off on its own in about 2 or 3 minutes. Okay. Take care. God bless. Bye bye.